So you did an article with Sifted a few months ago on mental health and managing stress. What tips would you give to people who feel overwhelmed and want to reduce their stress levels?
So I think looking at, first of all, the cause of your stress is quite hard to identify sometimes, but it's really the best way of making progress with yourself. So that can be, is your stress maybe burnout? And then maybe the question is like burnout, I think everyone can to a degree relate to that feeling. We've done some really cool work at Mindstep to sort of try profile what burnout means, because you have some individuals who can just like work and work and work, right? And why is it that this founder who just works 24/7 never feels burnout, but this other one who maybe works half as much is really burnt out? And what we're sort of finding is that it's how it sort of aligns with your core values and your passion. So if the more those two things pull apart, your output and what you have to do, like let's say you're working a 9-to-5 job, but you absolutely despise and it doesn't resonate with what you're doing, you're going to get burnt out so much faster than. And this is in fact that's why founders can work so much, because they're just hugely passionate about what they do. That is really key. So I think firstly, taking a moment to like appreciate that stress happens to everyone, trying to reflect on like what the cause is and addressing it. We have a lot of data at Mindstep around this, but a lot of individuals feel uncertainty around certain things, and there's different thought experiments you can do with yourself, and we have those on Mindstep available if you'd want, but there's also like other resources online around how to control your thoughts around uncertainty. I think people need to recognize that feeling you have of anxiety is actually something you've evolved, and it's really useful. Like back when we were cavemen, being uncertain whether that bush was rustling because of the wind or because of a lion was very useful. But nowadays we have so many stimuli around us and it's so overwhelming, and the threat isn't that great, but we still feel like there is a constant threat, and that's what causes...
Like notifications, I've turned all of mine off apart from a couple of select people on WhatsApp and phone calls, and it's so much less stressful than it pinging every 5 seconds because somebody's uploaded something onto TikTok, or I've got this email spam message that's come through, right? And the primal part of your brain is like, I've got to pay attention to this right now. It's made a sound. Is somebody coming to eat me? When in reality, it's Deliveroo, like offering me a discount.
Yeah, darn Deliveroo. What else is really important? I mean, there's, I think, so we recently launched like a relationship module on the app, basically because we sort of did this like piece of work. We were like, okay, we have these individuals who seem to be showing signs of anxiety. Like, what's the cause? Let's just like put 40 options out there and see what hits. And the number one cause of people's anxiety, at least in our user group, were relationship issues. And we dissected that, and actually then it becomes quite diverse. Like some people are breaking up, some people are lonely, some people, but it was an interesting, like this human connection was actually a major driver.
I think it was 70% of people struggling from mental health traced it back to relationships. Yeah,
that's exactly it. And then we basically felt it was quite weird because like I had been taught like you could see someone in general practice or in your primary care setting, right? And if they came in with anxiety and it was quite severe, you would be probably putting them down like an SSRI, like sertraline pathway potentially, or you'd be putting them through CBT and therapy, which doesn't necessarily tackle that issue around like building human connection and social isolation, right? We don't really have an NHS pathway and that's not the fault of the NHS or doctors, it's just how society has quickly evolved in this mental health game versus our current healthcare understanding, right? So we thought it was really important to put that out there, and it's actually become like one of the most used modules.
Yeah. The number one thing that's helped me with, I don't really feel anxious, but if I ever do, I have a 1-year-old, and like that's like the best way of reducing anxiety, just like playing with a kid, right?
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's like there's no way of feeling anxious when you're playing with your kid. Speaking of children, is it true that when you were 21 years old, you delivered a baby on the tube?
I wouldn't say delivered. Delivered is very generous. I think the mum delivered the baby.
Okay, well, you helped deliver the baby. Yeah, it's definitely the wrong term, isn't it?
I was, just, that like in my early years of medicine, and I saw someone in need.
How did you know she was like full, like giving birth to the baby on the tube?
Yeah, basically I was on the tube stop. I was like headphones in, and I heard two people screaming, and I was like, ooh, that's probably not good. It's like 2 p.m. Like that's a bit odd. So I went round sort of the corner, and this poor mum was in a lot of distress, and her sister was there in equal amount of distress, and there was sort of like, you know, not to get too graphic, but like there was signs of birth present, and I was just like, I was just like, I don't, you know, first thing you do in medicine, they teach you, call for help. Call for help. No, nothing there. I was like, well, it's happening. And like,
when you said nothing there, because on the underground you couldn't get
I was
signal.
on the underground, no signal, turned around. It was at Warren Street, so there is actually, we're just walking out the big hospital called UCH there, and I was like, oh, all the doctors are overworked, no one's here. And so I tried to call for help. I tried, I was just like, I'm just going to calm this mum down. And I happened to be on something called, basically you can select modules sometimes in medicine.
Yeah.
And I happened to be on like neonatal medicine. So I knew the absolute basics of kind of what to do. But yeah, fortunately it all panned out well. I just sort of caught the baby, to be honest, and then I wrapped it in a jumper, and I was just like, bloody hell, hope the paramedics arrived fast.
That's cool.
But yeah, honestly, a lot of medicine is just showing up, being there for the person, wrapping them in a blanket. You can get quite far.
Did she name the baby Hamzah?
No, but I did suggest Warren.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. It's cool. I don't know how I can top that, so we'll leave it there. But
yeah, the baby's all good. It was quite the surreal experience.
Yes.
But
I can only imagine. I wouldn't know what to do in that situation, but it sounds like you handled it pretty well.
honestly, just show up for people, be kind, be compassionate, and you can actually get quite far in medicine.